Hello, and I want to just warmly welcome you to our deep dive today. And, before we even jump into the material, I really want to pray for a divine blessing upon your day and upon your entire week ahead. May your week be filled with purpose and peace.
Oh, that's a beautiful way to start, honestly.
Thanks. We really appreciate you joining us. So, to kick things off, I want you to imagine a victorious ancient army, right? They're returning home, and they are carrying the ultimate trophy of war.
Right, they've just completely crushed their enemies in battle.
Exactly. They captured their most sacred, revered artifact.
Yeah.
So they haul it back to their cities, obviously expecting parades, festivals, absolute glory.
Yeah, that would be the standard historical response.
But instead of triumph, this trophy brings just absolute devastation. A terrifying, relentless plague breaks out, and it ravages their people for 7 agonizing months.
It is such a dramatic shift.
It really is. And today, we're exploring this intense, sometimes dangerous collision between the divine and the mundane. We are pulling our insights from the Holman and NAA study Bibles, and we're specifically focusing on the events of 1 Samuel chapter 6.
Yeah, and it's a narrative that really just grabs you by the collar. We are stepping into a situation of sheer suffocating desperation here.
Oh, absolutely.
The Philistines, who, were the great historical adversaries of the ancient Israelites, have actually managed to capture the Ark of the Covenant, but it's basically tearing their society apart.
They basically brought a curse right into their own living room.
Exactly.
The study notes mention that it's been 7 months of suffering, which actually brings us right to the end of May. And, well, that would be the wheat harvest in that region.
Right, the late May harvest.
So you have this wild juxtaposition, right?
Mm.
A harvest, which is a time of life and sustenance happening right alongside this rampant disease and death. The Philistine leaders are completely out of ideas.
Because moving the ark from city to city isn't working at all.
No, the plague just follows it like a shadow. So they finally call in their religious professionals.
Yeah, they summon their priests and diviners, demanding some kind of way out. And the advice these ancient religious experts give is, well, it's incredibly specific.
What do they tell them?
They tell the Philistine rulers, if you're going to send the Ark of the God of Israel back, do not send it back empty. They insist on sending a guilt offering for expiation to stop the plague.
Okay, wait, let's pause right there. Because expiation is one of those really heavy theological terms that I think we need to unpack.
Yeah, it definitely is.
What does that actually look like in practice for these ancient rulers?
Well, in this context, think of expiation as a really desperate ransom payment.
Okay.
It's a way to make amends and appease a deity's wrath. They're trying to wipe the slate clean, basically. The priests are saying, you can't just return stolen property and pretend nothing happened.
Right, there has to be a cost.
Yeah, you have to pay damages for the suffering you've caused. Or, in this case, to stop the suffering being inflicted upon you.
Okay, that makes sense. But it makes the next part even stranger, because their version of paying damages is just wild.
It really is unique.
If I think about a modern equivalent, maybe it's like a massive corporation causes a devastating environmental disaster in a local community.
Sure.
And the courts step in and force them to pay a hyper-specific ecological fine to make amends. Like they have to fund water treatment plants or build wildlife sanctuaries, something tailored to the exact damage they caused.
That's a great way to think about it.
But the Philistines aren't just paying a standard fine. The priests demand 5 gold tumors and 5 gold mice.
Yeah, and the math there is very deliberate.
Why 5?
Well, the number 5 corresponds directly to the 5 Philistine rulers, who are often referred to as princes or lords, and their 5 major cities.
Ashdod, Gaza, Ashkelon, Gath, and Ekron.
Exactly. So they are essentially representing their entire political structure in this one offering. But the priests also issue a historical warning alongside this demand.
Oh, right, the warning about Egypt.
Yeah, they explicitly tell the rulers, do not harden your hearts like Pharaoh and the Egyptians did.
So they are fully aware of Israel's history then. They know all about the Exodus and the plagues of Egypt.
Oh, they absolutely know. It really shows how the reputation of the God of Israel preceded the Ark.
Wow.
They recognize the pattern, right? When leaders stubbornly defy this God, their empires get dismantled.
Okay, I get the historical awareness, but I'm still hung up on the actual objects themselves.
Golden tumor.
Yeah. Creating golden replicas of your own physical afflictions, tumors, and mice, it just seems so macabre.
It does seem strange to us, yeah.
If you're a desperate king trying to pay off a god, why not just send a chest of gold coins or, beautiful jewelry, traditional treasures? Why memorialize your own suffering in precious metal?
Well, because they are operating under a deeply ingrained ancient Near Eastern framework. It's known as sympathetic magic.
Okay, how exactly does that work?
So, in many ancient pagan cultures, there was this belief that a physical offering should visually correspond to the affliction you're trying to get relief from.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it's like a physical, tangible prayer. By creating a valuable representation of the plague, so the physical tumors on their bodies and the mice that were ravaging their agricultural land, they are offering a symbolic substitute.
Got it. So they are essentially taking the horrific things, destroying their lives, casting them in gold, and saying, here is our suffering. We are returning it to you. Please take it away.
Yes, exactly. And we do need to clarify, based on the study material, that this was absolutely not an Israelite practice.
Right. You won't find this in the Mosaic Law.
Not at all. But the Philistines were pagan, and they were just using the religious vocabulary they understood.
That makes total sense.
Right. They didn't know the proper Israelite rituals, so they were making an earnest attempt to acknowledge their punishment, but using their own cultural grammar.
They're just using the only spiritual language they have.
Yeah.
But, that brings up a massive logistical problem.
The delivery.
Exactly. They have the ark, they have the golden tumors and mice, but how do they deliver it? They don't just want to drop it at the border, right?
No, they don't.
The narrative makes it really clear they want empirical proof. They need to know if the God of Israel actually caused this plague or if it was just, a terrible biological coincidence.
And this is where the ancient diviners construct what is essentially a highly controlled ancient scientific experiment.
Right, and the parameters are super rigorous.
Extremely. First, they order the construction of a brand new cart.
Well, that makes sense. I mean, they can't use some profane everyday cart that's been hauling manure or rocks. It has to be ritually pure.
Exactly right. But then they specify the power source. And this is where it gets crazy. The cart must be hitched to 2 milk cows that have never been yoked, and they've never been trained to pull a cart.
Wow.
And here is the real kicker. They take these cows' nursing calves away and lock them up back at home.
This setup is just incredible.
It's brutal, honestly.
If we translate this into a modern scenario, this is like taking a teenager who has never been behind the wheel of a car, right?
Okay, yeah.
You put them in the driver's seat of a massive manual transmission delivery truck, take away their smartphone GPS, and expect them to flawlessly navigate across state lines without making a single wrong turn.
That is a perfect comparison.
Actually, wait,
Yeah.
I look at this and it totally seems like the Philistine priests are stacking the deck here.
You think so?
Yeah. I mean, this test is completely designed to fail, right? So they can just throw up their hands, say it was a natural plague, and not have to admit defeat to a foreign god.
It totally looks like a rigged bet, doesn't it?
It really does.
They are creating impossible conditions. But here is the brilliance of their test from an ancient perspective. They wanted an airtight fail-safe. Oh, I see.
The biological instinct of a nursing cow is overwhelmingly powerful. It will frantically try to get back to its calf.
Right, maternal instinct.
Exactly. Add to that, 2 cows that have never been yoked together aren't going to naturally coordinate to pull a heavy cart in a straight line down some dusty road they've never even seen.
Yeah, they just walk in circles or a smashed cart against a tree while trying to run home to their babies.
Right. So the diviners set it up this way intentionally. If these distressed, untrained cows actually walk directly to the Israelite territory of Beth Shemesh, it undeniably proves divine intervention.
It eliminates any possibility of coincidence.
Exactly. The odds against it happening naturally aren't just low, they are astronomically impossible.
And yet, completely defying all biology and logic, the impossible actually happens.
It does.
The narrative highlights the supernatural elements so vividly here. The study notes point out that the cows walk straight up the road toward Beth Shemesh, but they are lowing, they're mooing in distress the entire way.
That detail is so vital, though.
Why is that? Well, the lowing tells you their natural maternal instincts haven't been erased.
Oh, wow.
Their bodies and minds are screaming at them to turn around and go back to their calves. But some unseen force is just compelling them forward. They never veer to the right or to the left.
It is such a profound violation of natural law. And the 5 Philistine rulers, they don't just wave goodbye from the city gates.
No, they don't.
They physically follow the cart on foot all the way to the border at the Sorek Valley. They trudge through the heat just to witness it for themselves.
They literally had to see it to believe it.
Yeah. And that journey brings us right to the fields of Beth Shemesh. Let's just picture this scene for a second because this contrast is amazing.
It's a great scene.
You are an Israelite living in Beth Shemesh. It's late May. You are out in the valley harvesting wheat, sweating in the sun, probably exhausted.
Definitely exhausted.
And you look up down the road, and coming toward you, completely unguided by human hands, is the Ark of the Covenant.
Just rolling up on a cart.
Right. This is the most sacred object of your faith, the localized throne of God, which has been missing for 7 agonizing months.
The relief, the shock, the awe in that field must have been completely overwhelming.
I can't even imagine.
And the text gives us a very deliberate detail about the arrival, too.
Oh.
Yeah, the cart doesn't just wander aimlessly into town and crash into a wall or something. It deliberately stops right beside a large stone in the field of a man named Joshua.
Wow.
It arrives at a specific, designated destination and just halts.
And at that point, the locals don't just run up and grab it, right? The Levites step in.
Yes, they do.
Since Beth Shemesh is a designated Levitical city, they take over. Now, for anyone unfamiliar, we should probably clarify what a Levite is in this context.
Sure. Think of the Levites as the authorized handlers of dangerous holy materials.
Authorized handlers, I like that.
Yeah, they are a specific tribe in Israel dedicated to priestly duties. They are essentially the ancient equivalent of specialized hazmat workers when it comes to the divine presence.
That is such a good analogy.
Only they have the ritual purity and the training to handle the ark safely.
So these divine hazmat workers step in, they carefully lower the ark and take down the chest containing the golden artifacts.
Right.
And the townspeople do something highly dramatic. They chop up the wooden cart for firewood and sacrifice the 2 cows right there on the large stone as a burnt offering to the Lord.
Yeah, right in the field.
Meanwhile, the Philistine rulers watch all this happen, realize they have their empirical proof, turn around, and walk all the way back to Ekron that same day.
The Philistines got their answer. The plague was definitely no coincidence.
No kidding.
Oh.
But looking at the study notes referencing Leviticus, we actually run into a major theological contradiction right here.
We do.
Standard biblical law, specifically Levitical law, strictly requires a male animal without defect for a burnt offering.
That's right.
So why are the Levites, the guys who know the rules better than anyone, sacrificing female cows here? Isn't that breaking the rules right in front of the newly returned ark?
Well, it seems like a blatant violation, but it raises a really fascinating point about how ritual functions in the face of the miraculous.
How so?
The study notes identify this as a highly unique, unprecedented situation. These specific female cows had effectively been consecrated by their mission.
Consecrated meaning what exactly in this physical sense?
Meaning the mundane had been permanently altered by contact with the divine.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, they had been separated for divine use, literally transporting the presence of God. Because of that unique holy role, they couldn't just be demoted back to common use.
So they couldn't just go back to being normal cows.
Right. You couldn't just unyoke them and send them back to plowing fields or nursing calves. Think of a common clay cup, right? If a king uses it for a sacred coronation ritual, you don't toss it back into the local tavern the next day.
Oh, wow, no, you wouldn't.
It belongs to the king now. This is an exceptional circumstance where standard ritual adapted to a miraculous event. The cows had fulfilled a holy purpose, and their sacrifice completed that consecration.
That reframing makes a lot of sense, actually. The animals were fundamentally changed by their proximity to the sacred.
Exactly.
So the atmosphere in Beth Shemesh is just electric. The ark is back, sacrifices are burning, the harvest is paused, everyone is celebrating. But then, without warning, the tone of the narrative violently shifts.
It really does. It's shocking.
It goes from a joyous harvest festival to a sudden, terrifying tragedy.
Yeah, the celebration turns fatal, and it happens incredibly fast.
Why?
It occurs because some of the men from Beth Shemesh commit a severe infraction. The text says they looked into the ark of the Lord.
They looked into it.
Yes, they looked at it with profane, disrespectful curiosity, and as a direct result, God strikes them down.
This is wild. The study notes dive into a really fascinating debate here regarding the translation and the number of casualties, which I really want us to explore for a second.
It's an important debate.
Some older manuscripts say 50,070 men were struck down, while others say just 70 men. That is a massive discrepancy.
It is, and it gives us a really great window into how ancient texts were actually transmitted.
Yeah.
From a historical and geographical perspective, the reading of 70 men is vastly more credible. We have to remember that Beth Shemesh was an ancient agricultural town nestled in a valley.
Right.
It simply would not have had a population of 50,000 people. It wouldn't have even had a fraction of that.
So how on earth does a scribe accidentally turn 70 into 50,000?
It basically comes down to the mechanics of ancient manuscript copying. In ancient Hebrew, numbers were often represented by letters, or, scribes would write notes in the margins.
Oh, I see.
It is highly likely that a later scribe, copying the text centuries later, misread a numerical letter or mistakenly incorporated a marginal note into the main text, which just artificially inflated the number.
That's a fascinating peek behind the curtain of historical texts.
It happens more than you'd think.
But, even with a smaller number, a loss of 70 men in a small farming community would have been an absolute catastrophe.
Oh, a completely devastating blow. You are losing 70 working-age men right in the middle of the wheat harvest.
Right.
It would shatter the town's workforce, its families, and its future.
And the consequence of their action is lethal just because of their lack of reverence. If we look at our own culture, we live in an era of absolute transparency.
We really do.
We love unboxing videos on the internet. We feel entitled to pry the lid off every secret, to look behind every curtain, to expose every mystery.
Nothing is sacred.
Exactly. We expect everything to be easily accessible to us. But the biblical text treats the Ark of the Covenant almost like the radioactive core of a modern nuclear facility.
That's the perfect analogy.
Right. Like, you can't just casually bypass containment protocols, open the reactor door and say, I just want to see what it looks like inside, without facing immediate lethal consequences.
No, you definitely cannot.
It doesn't matter if you have good intentions or if you're just curious. The radiation will kill you. The Ark demands a barrier. It demands absolute reverence because the power it contains is simply incompatible with human casualness.
Well said. The Ark wasn't just a historical artifact to them. It was the localized footstool of God's presence. What the men of Beth Shemesh did wasn't just some minor etiquette violation.
Like wearing the wrong clothes to a formal dinner.
Exactly. It was a profound failure to recognize the absolute holiness and the inherent danger of the divine presence. They treated the sacred as if it were common, like a novelty to be gawked at.
And the resulting trauma completely shatters the community.
You can really feel the terror in their reaction. The people of Beth Shemesh are utterly paralyzed with fear.
I would be too.
They realize they lack the sanctity, the spiritual containment protocols, to stick with your nuclear analogy, to host the Ark.
Yeah.
They look at the devastation and basically cry out, who can stand in the presence of the Lord, this holy God?
Which really brings us to the core theological realization of this entire narrative. They realize that having the Ark nearby isn't just a guaranteed blessing or some good luck charm.
No, it is an immense, dangerous responsibility. You cannot manipulate it, and you cannot handle it casually.
So they immediately send messengers to a town called Kiriath Jearim, desperately begging the inhabitants there to come down and just take the Ark away from them.
And the study notes point out that Kiriath Jearim is about 16 to 24 kilometers away, up in the hills.
The people of Beth Shemesh just want it out of their valley. They want miles of physical distance between themselves and this overwhelming, lethal holiness.
It's a stunning resolution to the story when you step back and look at it.
It really is.
The Philistines couldn't handle the Ark because of their pagan guilt and their status as enemies. But even the Israelites of Beth Shemesh, the very people who worship this god, couldn't handle it because of their casual irreverence.
It forces everyone in the story, and it forces you as the listener, to reckon with the reality that engaging with the divine is not something to be done lightly.
And it certainly isn't done on human terms. The divine doesn't bend to our expectations of accessibility.
So what does this all mean for us today? As we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with a thought to really mull over as you go about your week.
Yeah, it's a good one to chew on.
In our modern push to make absolutely everything in our lives accessible, casual, and easily understandable, have we lost the vital concept of reverence? Are there still things in our world, in our relationships, or in our faith that are simply too profound, too weighty to be handled casually?
It is a question that challenges the very foundation of how we interact with the mysteries in the world around us.
It really does. Thank you so much for joining us today for this exploration. Goodbye, and remember that God blesses all the listeners.